We're now going to talk about troubleshooting. Frequent issues we've come across when using ITAM have included RPC server issues. So the firewall could be blocking the agent's communications, the RPC or WMI service might be disabled, and we can test our setup using the WBEM test to check for issues. Also, potentially we don't have the right admin privileges to install the agent, so we should really have a dedicated domain admin for that. And also, maybe the ping of the IP address may well be blocked by a firewall. Within ITAM, we have three tools. One being ping, which is pretty much universally known. Secondly, traceroute, which is a diagnostic tool for displaying the route path and measuring transit delays across packets. And the SNMP walk, a web-based command for users to walk through MIB objects of a destination IP address. In the next video, we'll talk through the three tools that we have. At the end of that, we'll talk about some of the external tools we have available also. In this example, we're going to show you how to use the tools within settings. To use them, we click on settings. We navigate to the very bottom of the screen and we find in tools we have ping, traceroute and SNMP walk. People have commented the ping option might be easier to be used using a normal ping from the command line. However, we have the ability here to click on ping. We can type in the IP address, which I have, which is 127.0.0.1. I've got a timeout in milliseconds. I'm going to ping 4 times, my packet size I'm happy with. I click OK, and ITAM will go away and ping that particular machine. It's brought back my information. Now again, if you're a techie, that information is useful, but it means I can at least identify that machine. I have the ability to copy the clipboard, should I need. I have the ability to finish, because I'm done. Cancel the screen, it goes away. Then we come across traceroute. We've been advised that there is limited use, or if any use, of traceroute, so we'll skip past it. If you want to find out more about it, please refer to the wiki. And lastly, we're going to look at SNMP walk. Now again, this is also part of troubleshooting, but what it allows us to do is to identify that we can actually ping an IP address and then identify maybe why we haven't found that particular thing, or at least be able to identify we can connect to it. The IP address I'm going to use in this example is 10.0.16.130. I'm leaving everything else as is. I'm going to click OK. Oh, what's that read community string? What do I need to go in there?
Public.
Public. So, blah, 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 blah. We input the IP address. We have to have a read community string. In this example, it will be public. The other examples will be notated in the wiki somewhere, so we can find them. But for this example, it will be wiki. I click OK, and the system will identify that particular IP address. It then brings me back a particular printer. Mine's called a HP Ethernet multi-environment ROM. We also have the OID. Now the OID is the unique identifier of that type of printer. So the bonus with that is if this printer is not within our scan, we can identify the OID, we can create the OID, which we'll talk about later. So when we then do a next to a scan on the printer, we can identify it. We've got time tricks. We've got Greg Morgan, who's the owner of the printer. We've got Melbourne Printer 01, it's in Melbourne. And there's other various information we can identify and interpret later. Lots and lots of information that the tool has scanned to find, to decide what it wants to do with. We're not going to discuss all of it, but at least we can identify the machine. And if we haven't had it created, we can create it. Again, I can copy the clipboard. I can click on finish. When I click back on settings, we've now discussed the three tools available to us. Following on from the internal diagnostic tools, we also have access to external diagnostic tools. One being the WBEM test, which is an exe included on every computer that has Windows installed. We can explore it quickly to confirm Windows details. Secondly is called a PuTTY test. PuTTY is a useful tool to diagnose connectivity with Linux. And thirdly, a WMI diagnostic test, useful when you want to check the configuration of a Windows client. A screenshot of WBM test and also of PuTTY. We don't have the ability in this environment to test these things, but if you have somebody with a technical slant, these tools should be reasonably familiar. It's documented on our wiki, but also we can Google search to find out more about how to use these tools effectively. Lastly, WMI diagnostic test. Navigate to the ITAM server. Within the bin folder, copy the SIMS WMI diag exe onto the affected client, execute it, and you will get a text document created that tells you more about that particular machine.